Every time we begin the massage, we want to start at the lymph drainage pathway. This is located right underneath our ears. This will begin lymphatic flow that creates toxin release for our face and also helps it depuff. So we're going to take whatever edge we want, the U edge, the flat edge, the comb edge, and we will drag downward using medium pressure underneath our ear, little wiggle once we get to our collarbone. We're doing each move 6 times today. So drag your Gua Sha stone from right underneath your ear down to your collarbone. This is activating lymphatic fluid. Do not skip this movement. This is what's going to give you results like contouring your face, a better complexion, and depuffing your face. Next, we are moving on to a neck lifting motion. You can use your comb edge or the flat edge, and we are lifting upward on the neck, slightly outward to right up underneath our ear. So use one hand to hold at the collarbone just to keep skin a little bit taut, and you will glide the Gua Sha upward. Remember to keep it flat on your skin. You'll glide it up your neck, a little bit outward, right up underneath your ear. As you see here, I'm coming just underneath my jaw. This is a really nice lifting neck motion. So we're going to do this 6 times as well. Next movement is that underneath the jaw contour. This is the move that I talked about in the last video where the Gua Sha is not laying flat on our skin. We will hug the U edge right underneath our jaw and glide from our chin out to the edge of our face with a little wiggle at the end 6 times for some really amazing jaw contour. And who doesn't want that? Now we are moving from underneath the jaw onto the jaw. So we replace our Gua Sha stone with the U edge on the jaw. Our Gua Sha will be laying very flat on the skin. And here's another pro tip for you. As you glide along with the Gua Sha stone, you're going to use your other hand or fingertips to help hold your skin taut. So as the Gua Sha glides, you'll follow along behind with your other fingertips and create this really mini micro pull in your skin. And if your skin has too much oil on it, this little pull isn't going to happen. You don't want to be tugging on your skin or creating any sensitivity, but this micro pull is what's giving us all that lymphatic drainage that's good for depuffing and contour, and it's also naturally firming our skin. So it's really important. So this movement, we're going onto our jaw, gliding along 6 times. Really practice with these micro pulls with your other hand because we're going to be using it in other moves. For our next movement, we're going to use the comb edge of the Gua Sha or a flat long edge, whichever works better for you. And we're gliding along the full surface area of our cheek, starting at our mouth, gliding out to the edge of our face. So we want to use light medium pressure here, just like all our other movements. We're also using the stone laying flat on our skin and gliding with that anchor hand following behind it, the fingertips anchoring our skin and keeping it a little bit taut. This movement is also going to be 6 times, little wiggle at the end for extra points. During this time, we really want to be practicing details like keeping the stone flat, doing the wiggle at the end, following along with our hand behind to keep the skin taut, and also having your pressure be light medium. Pressure that's too firm isn't going to result in lymphatic drainage, and then we won't get the depuffing and contour that we really want. Next, we are moving on to a place that commonly holds stagnant lymph fluid, the apple of our cheek. So we will fit the U edge of the Gua Sha stone right in our nasal crease, and then glide along the apple of our cheek outward and slightly upward past the temple to your hairline. Remember to follow along with those fingers, gliding slowly with that light medium pressure, little wiggle at the end. And we are doing this 6 times across the apple of our cheek. So next we're moving underneath the eye, and it's very important that we use super light pressure here. Basically, we're just placing the stone on the skin and not really applying any more pressure than that. So we're starting at the inner corner of the eye, gliding outward and slightly upward like we've done before, following along with those fingers to create that little bit of tension. Such delicate light pressure here that's so important for underneath the eye. And I don't even really do a wiggle at the end when I'm doing these movements underneath the eye. I'll probably do a wiggle at this last movement when I'm finished with all 6 of them, but I just like to be very gentle and delicate here and glide underneath the eye. We're really going to smooth and firm that eye area. 6 times, and you can do a wiggle at your last movement. Now our final movements will be on our forehead. You can choose the comb edge or any long edge of the stone. We are first starting out by our temple, so glide super short strokes from your brow out to the edge of your hairline or wherever your scalp is. Do this 6 times, little wiggle at the end of each movement. Now we'll move above our brow. Same exact thing. Remember to keep the stone flat. We're gliding upwards on our forehead from the middle of our brow up to our hairline or wherever you'd like on your scalp. Little wiggle there. And then after this, we're moving to the middle of our forehead, gliding upwards, little wiggle, 6 times as well. And then after this, we just have one more movement before we move on to the other side of our face. Now this is our last movement, just for some final lymphatic drainage, gliding the Gua Sha stone across our forehead out to the hairline. You can even kind of let it come off of your face and float in the air a little bit for a second. You can use your other hand as an anchor hand, but that's optional. Do this 6 times and then you're finished with this side of the face and you can move on to the other side. But first, I always love to admire how one side looks so much more contoured, brighter. Lovely. Let's move on. Starting again with these lymphatic drainage movements underneath our ear. This is very important to start this way. Drag downward using the U edge of the Gua Sha stone or any longer edge that you'd like. Drag downward 6 times, little wiggle at your collarbone, and then we'll move on to our neck area. Lifting the neck here, we'll take the comb edge or any longer edge of the Gua Sha stone, anchor your hand at the collarbone, and with the Gua Sha stone in your other hand, sweep upward right underneath the jaw, and do this 6 times. Moving on to underneath the jaw, this is that one movement where you hook the Gua Sha underneath and it's not laying flat on your skin. Glide along the jawline. The U edge should really be hugging your jaw here. Trace your jawline, little wiggle at the end by your ear, and do this 6 times again. Moving on to our jaw now. So we are placing the U edge on our jaw. Now the Gua Sha is laying flat on our skin. We're gliding outward, following along with those fingers, creating that little tiny pull in your skin. And we are doing this 6 times, little wiggle at the end, right along our jaw here. Gliding across the cheek now, using any straight edge, long edge, comb edge, whatever edge you want to of the gua sha, just not the U edge, because we really want to cover the whole cheek surface area. And glide along that cheek area all the way out to the edge of your ear, little wiggle there. 6 times here. Now to the apple of our cheek. I really love this movement. I always feel like I have a little bit of puffiness here. This is the movement where we fit the U edge of the gua sha stone right in our nasal fold, glide along the apple of our cheek, slightly upward, little wiggle at the end past the temple, and 6 times for these movements. Moving on to underneath the eye, this is where our pressure is so light. We are basically placing the stone on the skin and letting it rest there. Don't apply any more pressure than that. Our skin under the eye is delicate and we want to treat it as such. So we are gliding from the inner part of our eye outward towards the hairline, slightly upward, starting at the inner corner right underneath that tear duct, gliding outward, slightly upward, and then follow behind with your fingertips, keeping the pressure really delicate and light with your fingertips as well. Just keeping that tiny pull in the skin. And we are gliding 6 times. And then this is our last movement here. So we're just going to do that little wiggle at the end of our 6th movement. Now moving on to the forehead. So take the comb edge or any other long edge of the stone 6 times over the temple at the edge of your brow. Then after these 6 strokes, we move on to the top of our brow in the middle, upward 6 times. Then we are moving to the middle of our forehead as our final movement here. 6 times, upward motions, keep the stone flat. And there's one last movement after this. Final gua sha movement for this massage routine. We are sweeping the gua sha across the forehead. If it feels good to you, you can use the other hand to hold the other side of your forehead. Sweep across 6 times. This is our final lymphatic drainage movement. And if you want, you can finish here, or you can finish the massage by doing a little circulation boost and lift. Take your hands, apply very deep pressure here, lifting all our tissues, getting more blood flow going, more oxygen flow going, giving your skin a nice little lift as well. This is a great way to finish a gua sha session. And now we are looking lifted, contoured, and feeling great.